Good morning. You're on the clock, and so am I. This morning, I've got my friend Gus behind me from the movie Lonesome Dove. Many of you have seen him before. I'm sitting in a different place today. This is actually at my kitchen table, and we're going to be talking about men and talking about intense men this year because it's coming up on the 13th and 14th of this month of March, excuse me. And we are less than a month away. And so things are getting exciting. This weekend, we have a men's work day on the 85 acres to prepare for the 2,000 men that are going to show up with their sons. I'm going to pull this down a little bit now. Let you see my other friend I have here today. This is my elephant friend. He's from Africa. Let me see if I can do this right. There we go. Now, he's a heavy boy, and I keep him in my office. You can imagine how fun that was to get back all the way from South Africa. I'm going to set him over here. There's a story that is told by a lot of South Africans, and in South Africa they have a lot of safaris and a lot of land and a lot of animals, and lots of elephants and rhinos and lions. That's one of the things I enjoy about going down there. I've been over 22 times down to South Africa. I don't hunt necessarily with a gun. I hunt with a camera, and I take lots of people down there so they can see what it's like to experience, an elephant up close and personal, or a lion or a giraffe. To me, that's just very surreal. Anyway, there's a story that tells an interesting truth about men. I want you to take some notes on this today. I want you to think about what an alpha is, what a leader is, why did God make men to be leaders, and why are so many not choosing to be a leader? What is the threat that alpha word holds over our society? Could it be that it's really more of a authority issue versus a male female sex issue? I mean, think about all the different problems we have with the way people see authorities, the way they see your parents. Remember, mom and dad were always wrong, you were always right, they were unfair. You wanted to tell your story to your brothers and your neighbors. Then it moved to your boss, your employer, your coach. Everybody that was in authority over you, whenever they asked you to do something that you weren't comfortable with, I'm not talking about sin, I'm talking about procedure, something that would stretch you to get you to a better place, a bigger place, probably had an issue with it, because that's what human nature is. Well, when God puts the man as the head, think about it. He's going to face a lot of that kind of attitude. And if that man doesn't have a father to teach him how to handle that, we're all in trouble. And that's kind of summing it up where we're at today. This story about the elephants, the old chieftains tell this, is that whenever the new park rangers came to the safari, they noticed something. Is during a heightened time of when the poachers were in there trying to kill the rhinos for their tusk, they would bring a high dollar for that. They would kill the rhino, the beast, and just cut off the tusk and leave the rhino there. It was a terrible misfortune. It was a terrible waste. It was wrong. Well, they tried to figure out a way to make that happen. So they were going to move these rhinos over into a new park. Well, they had two sections of young animals. They had the rhinos and they had the elephants. And they began the process of moving them over into another park for their safety and to watch them better. And so as they began the move, what they found out was that they ran out of money, and they could move the young rhinos and they could move the young elephants, but they didn't have the finances to move the big bull elephants. And so they left the young ones over here, and they left the old ones on this side. And after a few months, they began to notice something, is that the rhinos began to die, but they weren't being shot, and they still had their tusk on them. So it wasn't that they were being shot by poachers. They put the night lights and the night cameras on them, and what they found out is these young elephant gangs would form, and they would go in and they would kill the rhinos out of gang activity. They were also abusing the young female elephants. They were running rogue over the whole safari in a gang-like mentality. And so the young, the story goes like this: the young rangers were baffled. They didn't know what to do. So they went back and asked the old chieftain, what do you think we did wrong? He says, very simple. You put all your money into the young ones, and you left the old ones back on the other safari. The big bull elephants are your answer to the young rogue elephants. And if you want to stop the killing, if you want to stop the abuse, if you want to stop the anger, if you want to stop the unwanted pregnancies, if you want to stop all of that and bring order back to the safari, he said, you better invest in the old bulls. So they did that. They found the money. They went over and found the old bulls. They darted them, put them to sleep, put them in a wagon, took them over to the new place. That night, order was restored. Just the bulls walking into the safari stopped all the mess by the young gang members. What's the moral of the story? Alpha males are not your problem. The lack of them are. You see, people look at one-offs and they look at situations where one guy does something wrong and he's a rogue. Well, you can't judge an entire society, an entire sex off of what one person does, male or female. You shouldn't. And to point at one guy who went crazy and killed 15 people with an AR and say everybody's bad, all men are bad because that guy did that, well, you've lost your mind. Nobody governs like that. What is the answer to a one-off? A bunch of sold out alphas that love God and aren't going to put up with that mess. They're mature. Remember this, maturity doesn't come with age. It comes with the acceptance of responsibility. Real, mature alpha males sold out to God do not allow the young ones to run roughshod. They don't allow it. I don't allow it. In my home or around me, if I'm walking through the mall and some young man is going crazy on a bunch of women, it's my job. I'm going to do my best. I don't know if I can stop it, but I'm going to do my best to protect them. Why? It's in me and it's in you. The problem is we have just about neutered every male we know in order to quit and to stop them from doing something that might be harmful. And what we've forgotten is they were created for protection. And so whenever you have the males no longer in society, then the negative males, the bad guys, are going to start running society. We need strong men in our schools, in our families. We need strong biblical men in our churches, in our school boards, in our country. And I believe that's what you're beginning to see right now, even with the Trump presidency. You're beginning to see people that know what needs to be done morally and righteously. Does that mean they're perfect? No. Heck, you're not perfect. There's not one person that's perfect, but they're sure focused more on what's going on than the last group. And to me, that's easy to see as an alpha. What did the last group bring? This is not a political plot. I mean, they're already in office. I'm just trying to tell you how to recognize the difference between a passive beta male, which is what we have for 4 years, a tool, a pawn, and seeing somebody that has his mindset on straight and has gathered a team of men of like faith, and they're going forward. Are they preaching the word of God every day? No. But are they attempting to come at the situations in our country that have devastated us for the past 4 years? Here's what they recognize. Here's what moral men recognize. The issues with COVID, the issues with the economy, the issues with inflation, national debt, Afghanistan, illegal immigration. Come on, any alpha would go, those are wrong. It's not that a real alpha doesn't care if we have immigrants, and we're a nation of immigrants. We just want you to go through the right channels to get in, like everybody did. That's it. A righteous man doesn't want to keep you out of heaven. He just wants you to go through the right gate. His name's Jesus. There's a way to do this, and it's a righteous way. A politician, for the most part, understands that he needs everyone's vote. So he tries to create a platform where he can get the most votes, regardless of what those people feel like or how they believe. That's not an alpha. An alpha male says, this is correct. This is the way we're going to do it. And if you like it, vote for me. If you don't, I will create my homestead and I'll run mine this way and we'll be successful. I'd love to help you, but I'm not changing my moral standards. That's what we need in our country. And I believe that's where we're headed. So rejoice. I think the next 4 years are going to be outstanding. Like him or lump him, there's things I don't like about him either. But you know what? He's doing the right thing. I'm talking about our president. Pray for him. If you don't like certain things, pray for him. Don't condemn him because he's the one you've got for the next 4 years. Let's support that guy. Transgender athletes over women's sports. Are you kidding me? You're going to say that is a Christian perspective? No. Hamas terrorists over Israel. Are you kidding me? See, a Christian male should be able to see that and say, that's wrong. How about puberty blockers for children with no choice for the adults, no, for the parents? Yeah, that's ridiculous. And then, certain people run around with their purple hair and their earrings and their I'm sounding like an old man now, and their tattoos everywhere and all that. That's your choice. It's America. You can do what you want to do. But you get upset over somebody's maybe wrong interpretation of your pronoun. This is what I'm talking about. We have a nation, we've created a nation of beta males. And then you complain because we're going to get run over by Russia and China. They don't have this stuff over there. Why? Because they understand that it doesn't produce. And God understands that's not what he's called you to do. We have fallen in these positions mainly because we're fatherless. Did you know that? We're a fatherless nation. And that's our fault. Listen to these statistics. 61% of the homes in the U.S. are fatherless. 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. 90% of homeless runaways are from fatherless homes. 85% of children with behavior disorders, fatherless homes. Here's the one that always gets me. 80% of rapists come from fatherless homes. 71% of high school dropouts. 85% of teenagers behind prison bars, fatherless homes. It seems pretty easy to me to look at Malachi chapter 4, verse 6, the very last verse of the Old Testament before 400 years of silence. And we hear these words as a warning. Except the heart of the fathers is turned to the sons, and the heart of the sons to the fathers, you will live under a curse. Every one of those fatherless statistics that I just quoted to you, and the things that you've seen over the past 4 years in this great nation are ramifications of the curse of fatherlessness. Listen, we can focus on a lot of different things. As a former athlete and coach, I'm telling you, the greatest teams focus on one thing. Do this one thing, and then everything else you need will come out of that one thing. We need to focus on men, because when you get the man, you get the family. When you get the family, you get the church. When you get the church, you get the city. You get the city, you get the state, you get the state, you get the nation, you get the nation, you get the world. But it all starts with a man. Adam, where are you? For years, we have programs for children. We should do that. For years, we have programs for women, and still do. Programs for marriage that men don't want to go to. When are we going to start from the head down instead of the bottom up? Most great organizations don't start from the bottom up. They start from the top down. When Paul, the apostle, would go into a city, he would go into the center of the city and he would find the most wise and cultured men. Many times it was the lawyers, and it was the attorneys, it was the noblemen. And he would begin to tell them about this great God named Jesus. And they would become converted. He would start the church with the top and go down. We need strong men. Men, if you're out there and you've lost your way because you don't see it, the answer in the church, we have an event that's coming up. It's be our 16th year, and it's called Intense Men. I want to introduce you to it. Oh, here we go, trying to sell us something. No, I'm trying to help you. See, I don't want to just complain about the state of manhood or fatherlessness. I want to give you an answer. There's a lot of preachers out there that are talking about this and talking about that, and maybe a lot of it's true. My challenge to these preachers is give me an answer. Give me an answer, because I've been at a 9 to 5 all day, and here I come into the church, and you're complaining about how my manhood should be better, but you're not giving me an answer. What do I do? How do I become that man? Well, for 16 years, we have hosted the largest father-son camp out in the United States. This year, we're expecting over 2,000 men. Bill Wilson, an incredible man of God, and because of his actions, he has the right to speak. His organization, which he started with nobody, by himself in New York, now is around the world, and it touches, get this, 1 million children a week. A week. He is all over Africa, all over the Philippines. He's all over China. He's all over the world. He's based out of New York. He's my friend, special guest, Bill Wilson. Look him up, Metro World Child. March 13th through the 15th, you want to take this information down, go to intensemen.com, and you can see the full display of what we do, the games we play, the men that show up. There's men of all color, white, black, brown, Asian. They're all there, young, old. You don't have to compete in anything if you don't want to, but if you want to, we got it. I promise you. It's from football to basketball to paintball to fishing to zip lines to soccer. Lord, tug of war. I mean, we have it, and it's out in the country, and you sleep in tents, and you cook your own meal, and you be a man for 3 days. And then at night you come up and we worship God, and we hear from great speakers that encourage us on how to become that man and how to be successful. And so I just want to challenge you. This is coming up here on the 13th of next month, March 13, 14, and 15. Do your part to help us hit that number of 2,000. It's going to be wonderful. Go to jordanranch.org and check out the ranch. It's 5-star. It's a very nice place to be. And then the 85 acres that you'll be camping on are awesome too. If you're a pastor, we have a special room for you, and we have special gatherings for you, so we can tell you how we have been able to create this synergy around restoring the man to restore the house. This is kind of what it looks like here when 2,000 men gather. And you can see a lot more of this on the website, intensemen.com, when you go there. Let me see who's plugged in for us today. Is good. I see Stacy's here. Thank you, Stacy, for being on with me. You're right. The attack against male authority is very intentional, knowing that when the head covering is removed, the family becomes vulnerable to systemic control. I agree. The enemy knows that if you remove the head, and the body will eventually die. It's like we said all the time when my dad would take me out turkey hunting. He said, shoot for the head, son, because if they hit the head, the body stops. You know, that's kind of what we're looking at. Is the enemy is trying to knock out the men. we're trying to save the men, and it seems like nobody cares about the men because it's kind of like at Father's Day or, your father's birthday, what are you buying for Christmas? A tie? Nobody knows what to buy the man. Why? Because he's the head. He's got everything, or so they believe. The greatest thing that you can do for your father is to respect him and to honor him and obey him so that you can grow up and be better than him. He's the only man on the planet, if you have a good one, if you have a good father, which we believe you do, and if not, bring him to Intense and we'll help you understand that. We'll help him get to that place. We restore men. We don't kill them. And I just think it's very important that you see, what the enemy is trying to do with men, because people don't know what to do with the father. And we're going to educate you on that. We're going to restore men. We're going to reverse the curse. Stacy, I'm reading, you said, I used to take groups to Bill Wilson's street ministry years ago. Yeah. Great guy, authentic, genuine, legendary figure concerning inner city impact. Stacy LeMay, I just met him. He's a friend of a friend, and we're going to talk next week. We'll have him on here as our special guest if he's able to do that next Wednesday morning. So you don't want to miss that and hear about him. I believe that, we're calling in Intense Men this year. We're calling it Remnant. What that means is those who are remaining. I love people that are pioneer minded. They're willing to go out and do what God said, no matter what. And I think all of us kind of see ourselves as that hero. We just don't put ourselves in that position many times because we don't want to risk losing our family or hurting our family. But I want to tell you something. It's imperative that you start putting yourself in that position. I don't call it risk. I call it faith. But you need a father that's going to affirm you. You need a father that will come along beside you and have your back. And that's what you're going to learn out here, is that we believe in fathers, not just natural fathers, but spiritual fathers, men that are leading teams, men that are coaching your life so that you can start winning instead of losing. And maybe you've never thought of yourself being on a team or working in this world that way, but you will after you come to Intense Men. We also have another thing we'll talk about at Intense Men called Manhood University. And that has been wildly successful since we started it 2 years ago. Just understand, we're not talking bad about men. We're pointing out the issues so that you can see there's an urgency needed. I want to hit on one thing really quickly here. It's 9:23, and we normally just roll for 30 minutes. There's a difference between men and women. I'm not going into a marriage talk here. What I'm trying to tell you is God had a plan when he made us different. And a lot of you don't know this, and that's okay. That's why I'm here. I discovered this as I was studying it at one time. And about 7 weeks in, the fetus, when a woman becomes pregnant, the sex of the fetus is determined about 7 to 8 weeks. And when that happens, until that point, both male and female fetus are the same. And all of a sudden, when the fetus is the sex of the fetus is determined, something happens to that fetus, to the brain, and it's called an androgen wash. Now, if you're a female, you don't receive the androgen wash. If you're a male, you do receive an androgen wash. And if you can take a picture of a brain, you can see that the brain has two hemispheres or two halves. If you divide that right down the middle, that's how a male's brain functions for the most part. The androgen wash divides the left from the right for a male. It does not divide the left and the right for a female, thus giving her the ability to multitask because she thinks of the left and the right simultaneously. Now, just go look it up. It's called an androgen wash. It is for real. And the man sits there and he pauses. So when your wife asks you a question, you don't answer immediately because you're thinking about it. You're transferring from the left to the right or the right to the left to make sure that you give the right answer because you are accountable because you are the head. And she says, why don't you answer me when I talk to you? You say, I'm processing. And yet when you're driving down the road, so this is the difference. When you're driving down the road, she's asking you a question about your daughter or your son, and you begin the process of answering her, and then all of a sudden she goes, "Oh, did you see that dog on the side of the road? Can you believe that bow that it had? It was pink and blue and red." And you're thinking, why is she saying that when I'm trying to answer her? Well, that's a great example, of how the two of us think differently. But remember this, God made us to complete, like my hands, complete, not to compete. He made a male and a female as a team. And we're never as strong individually as we are together. So when God made you to complete, not compete, he gave the woman, sir, the ability to see all around you and to see a million things that are going on at one time. And she comes behind you and says, let me catch your backside. And let me show you what this person's doing, this person's doing. Let me give you the information I have so that you can process it, and then you make the decision because you're the head. You, on the other hand, you're not. Most female brain processes are thought of more emotional because of the fact that they think out of both sides, and they get more input than you do, which would impact their emotions faster. You and I have been given, as the tip of the spear, more logical viewpoint, less emotional, because we only think out of one side or the other, because we're called to lead the family. Listen, you can't have an emotional leader and be successful. It's not good to lead by your emotions. You lead by the facts, or you lead by what the Lord is saying as you tune yourself into your heart. But that's spirit, not emotion. And I just believe once you learn this, you'll understand why the devil is so adamant about taking out men and fathers. Once we have an understanding that God made us as a team, well, when a child is grown up in America, which is 61% fatherless, you can understand that most Johnnies are now raised up by mom. So now they're raised up in a situation where they don't have the advantage of seeing both sides of the brain. That's what the devil's tried to do by making us a fatherless country, a leaderless country. So now when we see an alpha male, a strong alpha male, we don't know how to respond to it. That's why a lot of people don't understand the leadership in our country today, but they like it. They got enough of the other, and they finally switched over and said, look, I don't like some of these things about the man, but I know that he's a winner, and I think he has our best at hand. That's probably the way, Noah was. Noah was building a boat, if you remember, for quite a while. And can you imagine him coming home every day and his wife saying, hey, know what you do for work today? And he said, look, I've told you for the past 60 years, I'm building a boat. He's pretty black and white. The wife is in the gray areas. That's kind of the way the two are brought together. But if you were married to Vince Lombardi, it's the same thing. How could you be married to that guy? Well, Vince has to learn how to chill out a little bit when he gets home. But the wife also needs to learn how to live with that great leader. You can see our books here. We have the alpha male and the women who get them. I encourage you to get a hold of that. We have Take Your Place. That's learning how to live with a mentor. And we have other resources as well. I'm coming to you today so that we can get on the same page. And I just want to tell you this as we close. I can use your help. We could all use your help. We have a team of people that have been putting on this event. It's taken us 6 months to prepare. Would you get some information? Go to intensemen.com, find those videos and start posting them. Would you begin to call your friends and tell them, hey, let's go as a group and let's have fun. Let's camp. Let's find out what it's all about to be a man again and get some great messages. And let's just hang out with other men that are on the same path and start working your influence muscle. I do believe that would be the catalyst, is to get men like you and women like you. If you're watching this and you're a female, you have the most to gain from your man changing. So help me help you by getting him to this and to Manhood University. Come out and see the Manhood Hall of Honor. It's the only one of its kind. And it's right here on campus at Jordan Ranch. There's so many things during that week that your husband, son, father, brother will be exposed to. You don't want to miss this. And listen, ladies, I know you have your ways of influencing. So use that influence muscle and get that guy out here. Men, start bringing your men from work, your other people that you know. Let's start packing this house out now. We're less than a month away. It's been great being with you today. I hope this has been a blessing for you. I see a lot of people that have logged on. Thank you for being here. Paul Alcantar, Stacy again, Marco Ruiz, Andres Garcia. Thank you for being here. Damon Fendrick, Paul Alcantar. You guys are a real blessing to me. Thank you for being on the program. Michael Campbell, Clifford Hare, good morning. Sorry if I missed y'all earlier. Richard Gardinas. Thank you for being on here with me, and share this video with people and let them know how important it is. The last time that Bill Wilson came and spoke, and Bill's a personal friend of mine, he's on my board actually. The last time that he came and he spoke, people from out in the woods began to run to the altar. I've never seen anything like it in America, in Texas. They began to run to the altar and lay prostrate on the grass. Hundreds of them. You'll see 500 to 600 people get saved in one hit, maybe more. 300 to 500 of them will get baptized that night. It's an incredible evening for men to come of age. I hope this has been good for you today. Come back next week, be with me, and Stacy LeMay will be here at 9 a.m. May the Lord richly bless you. Come see us this weekend at 8 a.m. We have a work day going on. We could really use your help here at Jordan Ranch. God bless you.